I'm assuming it was a business address just by the...
This is crazy. They picked up YG for the Draco situation, all off a Flacco interview. What's more dangerous, the real streets or the YouTube streets?
The way that it looked. So it says he wasn't arrested, he was detained during the search warrant and released, but the timing is wild. This was apparently mere hours before YG was scheduled to take the stage at the Thursday night Verzuz battle against the game. Blood on blood violence by the sounds of it. Everybody, both of them guys are rocking for one blood. Now, I actually should tune into that, but I'm too busy.
Laura Ross with the ad-libs is sick.
Got too much going on to tune into that. But apparently, that's going on at 6. So that's been going on for over an hour now when I'm recording this video. But that's him. Apparently, we've got his Lambo pulled up there. That's no way to pull up a Lambo. These things are low as hell. It pulled up on that big LA curb. That's looking horrible. That's a suspension nightmare. I've only driven one of these once, but this is a back-breaking car. Never drive one of these. This isn't YG's first police encounter in Burbank. He was previously arrested there in October 2024 for
YG taught a double jumping out of a Lambo is sick.
You'd make, let alone in this car. You know what I'm saying? A big Jeep probably wouldn't even take on that curb. The curbs in America or in LA in general are massive. First came the cops. Next up, the game. Okay, so news would then report immediately after this from TMZ that the game battle was still on, despite the run-in with the cops. I was at the courthouse for the David trial. Once I got out and I was able to receive my phone back again, I'm hearing people talking about, yo, YG got picked up for the murder of Draco. Now, clearly it wasn't the murder of Draco. He wasn't picked up for that. But they're executing a search warrant on one of his properties, and I wonder if they found anything. So the Verzuz still went ahead. It is going on right now. Go and check that out if you haven't. I'll probably go and check it out later or tomorrow on the weekend. I'm so busy with this David trial. Hopefully,
Laura Ross ain't mentioned nothing else about Young Ant, has he?
I was going to say, hopefully we're not attending YG's trial, but at the end of the day, I'm just going to stay impartial. If YG does get locked up for this, might see him in the courthouse, and you know what I'm saying, if he tries to go all Ant Hefe on me, we're not letting that one slide this time. But basically, the problem...
Oh, okay, I guess so. He does addressing the Young Ant Hefe situation. He said he gonna let it slide. All right, bet. Laura Ross said he gonna stall niggas out. Got you.
But he's connected to YG. It doesn't say whether it's a business address. YG was detained, which we already heard. But basically, this is low-key promo for his Verzuz. So, Adam 22, I believe they were actually live, or they were scheduled to go live right before this news came out. And Adam actually discussed an alleged witness that the police might have already who might be tied to YG's camp. So there's going to be a lot of information coming out about this very soon.
Frankenstone, even after Flacco doing this sort of expose. But Frankenstone is...
Now, we all know that the person that they're talking, we'll just let Laura Ross say it, but it's a flu flam foot at the jumper for sure.
This is the guy that Flacco claims is actually being investigated and that police believe was the one who did the final stabbing that could have really ended Draco's life. And from sources that I've heard, the whole scuffle, the whole melee that was taking place with Draco, I know it's probably like tempting for a lot of people to say, oh, well, you know, it was a ton of different guys jumping Draco at the same time. So it's going to be almost impossible to say that anybody specifically took his life. Okay, sure, makes sense. But what if, and this is kind of based on conversations I've had.
Everybody involved will be blamed for it, so they can't pinpoint one person, they'll just pinpoint everybody.
With people, what if there was one person who, after most of the jumping, after most of the beating had already been administered, what if there was one person who really delivered like a decisive blow with a knife to an area of his body that would have almost certainly took his life? I have heard, this is what I've heard. I have heard that there is a person, and I'm not going to go into detail, maybe a security guard, but at the very least somebody who was there, who's on Draco's side, I would assume. I don't think it was somebody who just like worked for the venue, but apparently this person has shared with the police his belief that this guy was the one, that Frankenstone was the one who stabbed Draco the final blow. So if the cops actually do have
nobody believes that but Flacco. That is a Flacco driven and created narrative.
A eyewitness who's willing to say that they believe that he did it. Now, I would assume that he was masked. That's going to make it a little bit harder, I would assume, to really like decisively say, hey, this is the guy who did it, if he was masked. But
then again, too, as Flacco said, this guy's out on bail right now for an unrelated, alleged 187. So you mean to tell me that this guy's out on an alleged 187 and no police officer or anyone else has picked him up, but they believe that he did this as well? That's more than enough reason to revoke his bond. So I don't obviously think that that's true.
I'm not 100% sure about that, but that is a rumor that I've heard. I don't tend to bring rumors to the table all too often, but I've heard that from...
You bring rumors to the table on a daily, brother.
A pretty verified source, that they do have a witness that is claiming that he has more inside knowledge about exactly who delivered the final blow. And maybe I'm just conflating things, but my source says that this is the guy that has been identified, and I think that is the intelligence that Flacco was given a couple months ago. You feel me? So, is it true? Do I have any insider knowledge that this is the guy? No, but the rumor that I heard is that this guy is the one who's really being primarily investigated on top of that. So
look, Adam knows the details. Apparently, the cops pulled up to No Jumper last week, and we're asking a whole lot of questions. Now, interestingly enough, a few days ago, Flacco let the world know that his...
It's interesting that nobody's talking about this wiretap that Munchie B's on threatening Flacco.
address was apparently being shared amongst the
here it is. Never mind.
bloods that are, involved.
Trap Lord Ross, thanks for watching Trap News Network. We appreciate you.
Involved in this situation, allegedly, basically just people that sort of at least just know about this situation, or didn't like Draco, or kind of just on the red team, basically. I'm not saying anyone was specifically involved in the incident, but Flacco basically detailed that he was apparently warned that his address had been shared amongst people that were really not happy about the information he was putting out there about Frankenstein.
Dumb. That's just dumb. That's almost as dumb as you sending people my address. Oh, you thought I didn't know about that? Now ask yourself how I know about that. Just ask yourself, how do I know about
that? The police called you because your name and your address were mentioned on the wiretap, so they have the duty to protect you, so they called you and told you
that? This man don't even understand how much nonsense he done got himself in, man. That's a different story for another day. Okay, but Munchie B has been on his internet, on these podcasts, trying to convince the world the United Bloods congregation of LA County formed like Voltron and conspired to murder Draco the Ruler.
So, look, Flacco definitely has been kind of raising a lot of awareness about this case. Now, obviously, I did a long documentary about Draco the Ruler kind of a couple years after he passed away. And I explored in that video, there's no evidence that obviously Munchie B, the kind of red affiliated No Jump host, is really a fan favorite right now. Right, Munchie's probably the top podcaster on No Jumper right now as far as the fans actually love Munchie. So it would be so tragic for him to...
Yeah, the fans love anybody who's ignorant who can create entertainment for them. They don't love him enough to want to see him do better. Everybody likes watching a plane crash.
Be taken off the show, but as far as I was aware, I didn't see any evidence to suggest Munchie was involved. He definitely hated Draco, and it's no secret that Draco had dissed him a bunch of times. Draco had said he put $50,000 on Munchie's head in a song. So no doubt he hated him, but at the same time, obviously Munchie, he does...
Draco did say, I'll drop a 50 pack on your blind A-double-double, ain't got no chill button.
Have his full vision, so he wouldn't even be able to participate in this crime. So I'm not thinking Munchie is truly involved, but Munchie has definitely trolled Draco the Ruler after his death. He definitely was happy that Draco passed away due to the dissing between them, and also the fact that Draco and his friends allegedly murdered one of Munchie's close friends, Red Bull. And so just hating him doesn't necessarily mean that they were involved. YG, on the other hand, he is, unfortunately, despite being quite secretive about his street ties, but it seemed like for years YG was very careful about what he said, and then it's just like moment by moment he's kind of done a little bit too much. There was the famous interview on No Jumper where, Draco was on No Jumper and dissed YG and Munchie. Allegedly Draco shot YG back in the day, and now we're finding out...
They said that Draco's the one who popped Munchie B shot YG in the hip, is what they saying.
YG was on No Jumper talking about, we ain't rap beefing, the homies gonna get ya. And then the homies did get him. And, you know, when it was the footage going around of all of the Bloods that jumped Draco and murdered him at that festival where he passed away, people are wearing YG's 400 merch, right? YG 400. Like, bro, we seeing your merch.
It's like they can't mention YG without doing the imitation of his voice.
At the scene of the murder. And then, you know, a lot of people kind of going back and forth saying that, you know, people from over that side might have had something to do with it. Now, at the end of the day, you can call me a snitch all you want, but, like, fools are jumping on podcasts talking about the homies are going to get you. You know, we're seeing your merch at the scene of the crime. It is definitely very, very suspect. And no doubt, the authorities have been looking into this closely too. If a bunch of YouTubers can see all these details and connect the dots, no doubt the cops will be doing so too. But whether or not YG...
And that'd be the part that's crazy. They'd be like, oh, the YouTube niggas are talking, the YouTube niggas are talking. Nope, the gang members are talking and putting it on YouTube, which gives the YouTube niggas something to talk about.
He is personally involved, and whether there's evidence he's involved in the murder of Draco the Ruler, that's yet to be seen. But this is the kind of discourse going around on Reddit now that, you know, this information has been disseminated. YG detained as the cops execute a search warrant over Draco the Ruler murder. People saying, oh, the Verzuz is tonight. And the people saying he was released. People saying he snitched that easily. Damn, there is no proof that he snitched, all right? They're saying they just got the brand new McDonald's chicken Big Mac TM, so the snitching was justified. Another pit sandwich and some potato salad, and a few more. All right, I don't see any evidence of YG being a snitch.
Snitching for potato salad as well.
If anything, I think he's going down with the ship if it turns out to be true. I see a funny comment. It says, you are now the proud owner of an accessory after the fact Rico conspiracy and aiding and abetting charge from the feds, unless you appreciate delectable McDonald's meals and want to make life easier for the feds. Now, here's the thing, okay? People are basically saying, we know the truth on his new album, had me thinking of that Key and Peele sketch. Surely, this is just pressure to get somebody to talk, especially doing this the day of the Verzuz. Now, here's the thing. In that song, he kind of denies it, but then it's like, you
Now, when it comes to this whole situation with YG and Draco the Ruler, I don't think that YG has any actual participation in it because, again, he's never given us anything. Nothing shows that he's been, you know, participating in these types of situations. Other people not so smart, but it doesn't really at all seem like YG's really involved in this outside of the rumor mill.
Talking too much. You're referring to the incident too much. You said too much in this song. You got an intro, like an AI intro that basically... This is about Flacco. YG's being accused of murder. Police officers said they're looking for more information. This all came... I made a video about this years ago and YG didn't do a peep. This ain't about me, all right? As much as it's cool when a rapper shouts you out, I've been dissed by Dirk and Youngboy, okay, and several others. But this ain't about me in the video I made 2 years ago. Probably 3 years ago. This is about Flacco, all right? YG being accused of murder. Flacco was the one talking about that. They say, I murdered this, I murdered that. Well, if that was true, you'd be an effing rat. He's talking.
I don't think Flacco cares about being an effing rat. I don't think that that's on the top of his worry and or priority list. I think Flacco's all right with being an effing rat.
Talking about Flacco, this is a Flacco diss song because of all the videos Flacco made about him. And I'll be sleeping in a cell on a rack, but it ain't an effing fact. All that talking on the app, Streets has done this, a rap. They want to see me fall. You're doing too much, and the fact that you're so annoyed by people talking about if that was true, you'd be a rat. You're doing way too much, all right? Got paid $600 for that show. Why would I tell a dude F it up, though? Well, allegedly, he shot you back in the day, and you upset about that. So, and he's talking about, well, my friend Slim just died, so I couldn't possibly have been worried about Draco. I don't think that's true. The fact is, then I heard dudes saying YG paid. Stop lying. Come.
This nigga said YG's a multitasker.
Run YG.
Worry about two things at once.
Fade. I hadn't seen anybody saying YG paid. What, you mean paid for the murder of Draco the Ruler and get wrapped up in a Rico indictment? This is what I'd say, like, you protesting too much. You answering questions that didn't actually get asked yet. Nobody asked, and, you know, you... Now the police are raiding your warehouse, so that's a really, really messed up thing to kind of put out there. Talks about...
That's crazy. My man says you over here answering questions no one has asked shit.
About growing up in Inglewood.
Actually, we didn't know about that, but since we're here.
Rocking with the Inglewoods because he's a blood. Again, he was mad at Drake for pointing out that he really bangs a set. But then he's like, duh, I'm a blood. And basically, like, you know, he claiming his gang affiliation as Inglewood, and obviously Draco released a song called Ingleweird that offended everyone in Inglewood. So it's kind of like you laying the motive for the murder. You know, he had beef with a whole other rapper.
Not the motive.
But that was on the
anything but a motive.
Oh yeah, well he had a beef with a whole bunch of different rappers and bloods and blood affiliates, basically, that, you know, you was all at war with him. Talking about I'm at war, they're trying to up the score. This is like really bad to let everybody know you're at war. And it's one of these ones where it's like, he probably thought that he was being slick, taking him off the scent by being honest, but it's like too much. And again, basically...
Now, again, these are all speculations. Nobody can sit here and say, you know, this person did this or this person did that, or this person handled this or this person handled that. Nobody can say that. These are all what opinions and thoughts of YouTubers are. Now, none of this has to do with police facts. None of this has to do with case facts or even street facts. This is just Traveler Ross's opinion of the situation. Maybe he should do more to make it clear that this is an opinion and not fact, because these dudes do speak so factual about things. But it just, you know, it makes for more salacious and more murder mystery style TV if they do it like this, I guess.
He talks about Kells, who is the guy that was, you know, essentially the murderer of Red Bull, who was a close friend of Munchie B's. He was an infamous blood from Inglewood, and he was murdered by Kells and a group of people that included Draco the Ruler, but Draco ended up beating the money. Herein I put money on his head, embarrassing. No one was really, like, saying that with any proof, and again, it's like, you've addressed it a couple times, talking about these false narratives, and it's like one of these ones where it's like, you know, he's saying he wants to kill Flacco. There's part of me that want to kill dudes, lied on my name and kept it real. That's what happens when you're still up in the field. What do you mean you're still in the field? You still up in the field? And you want to kill the people that are lying on your name and you denying... Okay. This is definitely just wasn't a great idea. They're saying YG was publicly detained on the morning of the 2020 Grammys when he was supposed to honor Nipsey. They're saying they're just trying to pressure him to get someone to talk, doing it on the Verzuz. They're saying, yeah...
Every time this nigga got a major event, they come get his ass, ain't he? Maybe the feds trying to be a part of the YG rollout?
Los Angeles PD teamed up with Swiss Beats and Timbaland to promote the Verzuz. Says every eyewitness report says it was people with 400 merch surrounding Draco during the attack he was killed in. We don't know what's in the search warrant, but it make a lot of sense that they executed it the morning they knew YG and a lot of his associates would be in LA. Well, all the guys that wear the 400 merch, maybe that was the 400 warehouse, I don't know, right? As if on cue, all the attackers remove their red hoodies and scatter. In the video, a mob circles around a blurred figure on the ground. Later, a private investigator volunteers his services to Draco's family, tells them he counts 113 people taking on 7. Right?
Damn it. 113 people versus 7? That is over elimination.
Really tragic. People saying, I was on the front side of the stage when it happened backstage. Imagine waiting for 50 Cent. There's a delay. All of a sudden, 50 cop cars surround the venue and a police helicopter circling above your head. All the while, the venue isn't announcing shit. Everyone says on their phone something happened to Draco, and they're still not saying anything, and then they sent everyone home after 2 hours. F you, once upon a time in LA. Disorganized mess from start to finish, and double F you for allowing that to happen.
Yeah, it's crazy that they even allowed that to happen. It's like, a lot of things have happened to a lot of rappers, but to do it to him while he's at work is crazy. That's the wildest place. And a day in LA, once upon a time in LA, it's gonna be a bad look for them.
Backstage, that's a fact. I hope they got sued to the nines and Ralphie the Plug buys 10 cars with the money that he gets out of them, to be honest with you guys. Long live the ruler. We know the truth. I think the cops are going to know the truth very soon. The way they did him was sickening. It was always going to be FYG for that. Obviously, people are sharing that article from LA Mag. And shout out to LA Mag. I've been spending time with some of the people from LA Mag over the last couple of days at the David Trial. Really good people, great journalists, quality work by everybody over there. Utmost respect to LA Mag, man, or Los Angeles Mag. It's actually called, they're telling me it's called Los Angeles Mag, all right? But people call it LA Mag, but it's actually called Los Angeles Magazine. Anyway, it says the game's furiously making calls to get YG taken care of before tonight. Sarcasm. All right, they be saying game's a snitch. I've never seen any proof of that. So, I mean, from what I heard, it sounds like YG was in the vicinity, but not where the fight was actually going on. I'm kind of like, what are they going to find from a guy that wasn't in the fight like 4 to 5 years after the fact?
Yeah, that's real. What can you find from a guy who wasn't in the fight 4 to 5 years after the fact? He wasn't there, he went around. What can he really add to the situation?
They're saying about time. We know the truth. Long live Draco. They're saying YG was jealous. Draco was very close to being the new face of gangster rap in LA after the Drake feature. I ain't going to lie. Draco had more motion than YG at that point, and he had the Drake feature recently. Meanwhile, YG's Drake features were legendary, but they were kind of a little bit more in the past. A little bit of time had moved on. People had moved on to support Draco. And as I broke down in a couple other videos, people were definitely not feeling YG as much as Draco at that point in time. So YG didn't have a hit since 2018. Draco basically replaced him as the face of gangster rap in LA. All right? So obviously that article's been put out there a lot. Draco should have moved out of LA, should have moved to the suburbs. He got out of LA. He was super tapped with all the PTSD from all that solitary confinement. It says here, you know, he had a big mouth. That's what made his music and personality so great, but it's also what pissed a bunch of people off. He had a whole song called Inglewood and dissed everybody that had ever come from Inglewood. It was savage, to be honest with you. It was absolutely savage. So, you know, it really just...
That song did trigger a lot of different emotions from a lot of different people, and a lot of them were negative. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, it was just sad. So, it says they're getting close. Long live Draco, the ruler. This is in the No Jumper sub. They said, by the way, CHP has jurisdiction over this case because it occurred on state property. So it says California Highway Patrol actually are leading the case because of where the murder happened, I suppose, because of where the actual venue for the Once Upon a Time in LA, I believe it was called, or a day in... No, it wasn't a day in... Once Upon a Time, no, that's some other shit. So as they're saying, Munchie better get his affairs in order. They're saying they can't do shit to Munchie. Whoever is investigating this case sucks. Says the dude is blind. He wasn't anywhere near the murder scene. Flacco and the people in here saying Munchie is done. Kill me. Done with what? I hear it. All right? Look, Munchie just cooling off. He dissed Draco a million times and was absolutely doing a victory lap when he got killed. But at the end of the day...
Yeah, Munchie B was very ecstatic. You would have thought that he was the one that did it. He was definitely very, very celebratory.
He ain't do nothing. Yeah, he's talking about he passes a bottle to Draco's killer every day, but at the same time, it's like, do they have a picture of him passing a bottle to somebody? I don't know if that's really going to hold up, all right? People saying this is TMZ clickbait. He wasn't detained over the Draco passing. It says SWAT response, but he was ultimately released. They're saying Big U, Brick Baby, and 6ix9ine all got picked up allegedly multiple times prior to their Rico indictments. Okay, and unfortunately, yeah, there was police activity at No Jumper right before everything all came down. So I'm not going to lie, I would not be surprised if there was a big arrest soon. But I don't think Munchie's going to get arrested. Well, I don't think Munchie had anything to do with Draco's murder. So, you know what I'm saying? That's all I can really say. I don't know. Because Draco was effing with people. You act like he's innocent. They're getting closer.
All right, man. So we're going to get up out of here to the next one. But we see it's a lot of flu flammy, a lot of skullduggery, a lot of larceny going on. We're praying for everybody involved in the situation because the situation is going to go seemingly from bad to worse. But it is what it is, man. Red dots to the left. You know the rest. We gone.